The title of our short video today is that there is a great light coming out of the current darkness that is covering the world, not just the UK. My wife Anona and I live in a quite roomy house. It's a good sized garden. We've got a patio and we've got a summer house. But thousands, hundreds of thousands, maybe millions live in tall blocks of flats where there's no garden, maybe a number of small children. And so for them in particular, it is trying and testing, can be depressing, and can create a great deal of anxiety. So I thought, rather than major on the only news item there is whenever you turn it on at any time of the day, which is coronavirus, I'd shed some light into the darkness of things that God is doing, and even the press are reporting on day after day after day. The Guardian newspaper recently published that 15,000 churches streamed online their church meetings, church services, or some singing and a speaker. 15,000 churches, that's remarkable. And that doesn't include the tens of thousands of home groups also using video to communicate to each other, as we are at Pioneer Engaged Church in Leatherhead, Surrey. Nearly all of our members are in cells, and those cells go online. Elsewhere, it's reported that 1 in 20 who don't normally pray have started to do so since this lockdown. And in another survey, an amazing video features a wonderful song called The Blessing. Over 1 million people saw it in a little over 24 hours. It's a huge event. Tim Hughes is behind it, but it features people from all sorts of churches, groupings, denominations, networks, including Pioneer. And it's stunning. There's no other word for it. Absolutely stunning. So do try and look for it. It's called The Blessing, or the UK Blessing. Recently, over 1 million saw this, as I say, in 24 hours or just over. It's particularly featured on ITV. They were shattered that a Christian song should be seen by so many millions of people as it is now, because these statistics are about a week old. Another survey said that 25% of adults have watched a Christian event, service, worship, teaching since the lockdown began. Now 10% of London are a part of a church. It's 5% in most other parts of the country. So 25% of adults watching a Christian event of teaching and worship and prayer really is quite remarkable. 6,000 people have phoned one single prayer line in 48 hours, and they're all asking for prayer. They feel they're on their own. They don't know what's going to happen. How long is this going to go on? None of us know. But it's not looking as though it's going to finish in a short time. Tear Fund, which is the Evangelical Alliance Relief Fund, have also finished a survey and discovered that a third of young adults, that is, young adults being between the ages of 18 and 34, are watching or have listened to a Christian program in the last 6 or 7 weeks. I did see a cartoon of the devil and God sitting together, talking together, and the devil says, "I have closed down all your churches." God replies, "But I've opened up a church in almost every road all over the UK." We live in central Surrey, which is Leatherhead, and Epsom and Ewell are nearby. This time last year, we fed 386 people. This year, same time, we fed over 1,035. It's terrible that in this crisis, people can't work, don't have money, can't feed their families. that fabulous that people, most of them Christians, are giving up their time simply to gather food from supermarkets and other places and to give that food to those who are in desperate need. Just one website, it's entitled Christian Events, has had 527 million hits since the lockdown began. I'll say that again. One website titled Christian Events has had 527 million hits since the lockdown began around 7 or 8 weeks ago. I'm a pastor, Christian leader myself, so I was interested in the next statistic, which is 60%, that's 60% of Christian pastors or full-time leaders have said that they are busier now than before the lockdown began. A lot of that is because we're on the phone or we're using Zoom to talk to leaders, to cell leaders in our churches, and we're particularly looking out for the vulnerable single parent families and so on. Normally we wouldn't do that because there's a whole team of people that can do that. But when you're not gathering together, either in a home group or on a Sunday, then it's a lot more difficult, as you can imagine. Well, that's it. That's the good news, and we should be grateful. As an old friend of mine once said, God's got a wonderful hobby. He goes round collecting failures. Most of us feel we're failures, but God's grace is extended to us through the story, particularly of the birth, life, death, and resurrection of Jesus. I'll see you around in a week's time, and if there's a subject you'd like me to look at, then you can find me on Facebook, Gerald Coates, Facebook. I'll do what I can to respond. God bless you. Have a great week. Thank you. Bye-bye.